Welcome back to another fantastic episode of I'm Gonna Talk and You're Gonna Listen. This is your host, Chance Paladin, and I'm hoping you're all having a fantastic time. And I know I haven't done one of these for a while. We're just gonna jump into it. There's been happy January 20th and happy freedom for all the J6ers that got released. And yeah, so I want to talk about return to work. The subject that I'm the most passionate about in the world, besides helping people. And so there's been a lot of that in the news lately. I believe Chase tried to all of a sudden 100% make everybody come back. Amazon has tried and is failing to make everybody 100% come back. And now the executive order has come through. Return for the three letter brigade. Heads of all departments and agencies in the executive branch of government shall, as soon as practicable, take all necessary steps to terminate remote work arrangements and require employees to return to work in person at their respective duty stations on a full-time basis, and provide that the department and agency heads shall make exemptions as they deem necessary. So there's a couple, you can scour LinkedIn, you can scour Twitter. I'm going to be bouncing around for a few things. I'm going to be bouncing around between a few places, and through the power of clearing out blank spots, hopefully this is going to be fairly seamless. So where really do I want to start with this? The stuff I was reading on LinkedIn was really interesting. I can't remember if it was Chase or if it was Amazon. I think it was Amazon. They were coming back to the office, and I don't have this bookmarked. I'm sorry. They said that basically, like, there was only like floating like visitor cubes. There's visitor cubes. There's nowhere for them to sit, and basically they were just going to the coffee shop and trying to have their meetings. So there's problem numero uno of going back to the office. And just in general, I've worked in the private sector as a contractor for a very, 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 very long time. Almost all that in some kind of IT format. I have never once, ever, even when IT was in the same company, worked in the same geographic location as the people working on my software. The closest, like, I still had to leave the building, go completely across town, which meant two different freeways, and a bridge. The building was like 1 mile away, but I still, not cities aren't. It's a joke anyway. And then I had to find parking, and then I had to validate my parking, and then I had to fight my way through the building and up nine floors or some damn thing. Then I had to go all the way to his desk, and then his boss was just pissed at me for being there. Anyway, even though we were working on a project together. So this whole and never mind. Okay, never mind Intel. Let's talk about Intel for a second. I never worked for Intel, and I want to tell you why I never worked for Intel. This was pre-Rona. They wanted I was going to work in some building, and the people I was going to be supporting were scattered all to hell and gone across all these other buildings. And they were like, don't worry, you won't ever have to like work with these people, but they're going to be the people that you're supporting. And I was like, well, I was like, could you just tell me like which building on the campus I'm going to be reporting? Because they're like, do you have any questions? I was like, yeah, I wasn't even trying to work from home, to be honest. I was just like, which building do I report to? Like, who am I supporting? And they're like, oh, you're gonna have to come in, but you're gonna be like, you know, in Zoom calls with the other people. And I'm like, well, what buildings are they in? And it was like, well, their buildings are being worked on. It was so stupid. And I remember just looking at this guy, and it was only going to be for like a couple months or something. And I'm like, this is the most stupid, ill-planned thing I've ever heard of in my life. I did not take that job. I didn't even get a call back, if I remember right. I would not have taken that job anyway. That was just one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. I've worked for many of the bigs. And never once have they all been in the same building. One of the bigs, I think, had like 9 to 12, 13 buildings, and you just had to like pick up and drive to one of the other ones and just like hope to God that, you know, everybody gave you enough time in between your meetings to be able to drive to like one building to the other, or you had to walk. Sometimes you could walk to the next building or the next building, or, you know, in one of the other ones, like 30-story building or something. So you had to leave your building and go down 6 floors, go to the next building, go up like 30 floors. It's just nauseating. It's fucking nauseating to even think about. So I don't want to hear about somehow that helping with collaboration, because that's bullshit. Being in the office does not help with collaboration, period. It doesn't. Point A. Point B, people are just fucking harassing you all day. Because you're surrounded by a bunch of assholes that don't want to work. They want to socialize. You're surrounded with social butterflies that don't work. Their entire career is work theatrics, and they're walking around just harassing people all day. It's either your bosses harassing you with micromanagement, or it's your coworkers harassing you because they don't have anything to do. When they are finally given something to do, it's work theatrics, and they're just talking to people, trying to find someone else to do their work for them. So you're hiding in a conference room all day. Point 3, if you force everybody back to the office, guess what there isn't? Conference rooms. Which means all the people that were coming in and were collaborating now can't, because every asshole on the planet is there, clogging up the parking lots, clogging up the conference rooms. Instead of just letting the people come in that needed to, when they needed to, because outside of having a corporate office, finding a conference room in the private sector is impossible. You know, if you're going to have a big corpo structure, what's the most important thing in that big corpo structure is the freaking conference rooms. You know, so unless you're going to go to a hotel or something. Never mind parking, because half those damn places don't even have it. You want to pay you want to go back to paying $20, $25 a day for parking, or take public transit? It's like $150 a month now or something, and then risk getting, you know, pushed in front of a fucking train by some psychopath. So you've got all these problems, okay, and that's just the private sector. You want to talk about the public sector for a second? So you start out with Elon Musk and Vivek the fucking clown going, come work for Doge for free. You can go look up these tweets. Come work for Doge for free for 80 hours a week and don't get paid. And then they said, come back to the office or you're all fucking fired. And then they were talking about H-1Bs. And then even more recently, Elon said, I'm hiring, what was it? I'm hiring the best and brightest from the whole planet. Send me your resumes. We're going to build the everything. We're going to build the everything program. I want to hire the best and brightest from like the whole planet. I'll see if I can find that tweet. No, I can't find his tweet, but I found the references to it on techstartups.com. It says Elon Musk has put out an open call for skilled engineers to help create an everything app in a tweet. Musk emphasized that the qualifications like a college degree or a big name job experience don't matter as much as a solid display of coding ability. If you're a hardcore software engineer and want to build the everything app, please join us by sending your best work to code@x.com. We don't care where you went to school or even whether you went to school or what big name company you worked at. Just show us your code. Oh, here it is. Yeah, then they sent there. They quoted the tweet. So everyone, this is based. This is great. The most intelligent people. Blah 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 blah. You know what he doesn't say is to me, the funny thing is like I didn't even finish reading it, and I'm like, oh, he's right back to the whole H-1B thing again, because he doesn't say if you're a hardcore software engineer in America. To me, that's just a giant call out to like the whole entire planet. Now, again, part of the problem here, I've said this before, talking about Elon Muskaroo, is that it's so hard to track this stuff. You can try to bookmark it, you can try to screenshot it. It's so hard to follow. And he's mired in not only is he mired in stupid bullshit, like the fact that he was lying about how good he was at video games, which is so cringe. And he's already being sued again, and Doge isn't really going to be a new department. It turns out they're just like changing the name of another department. And Vivek is already kicked out of Doge, which is hilarious. And they're like, "Oh, cool! You've already saved one American job." I don't know. It's funny not to take that too seriously. Vivek is a fucking grifter clown. So you have kind of that whole. You have that whole like ecosystem going on where Musk is back and forth, America this, Doge that, America this, Doge that, H-1Bs. I'm gonna go to Mars. It's like, it's all good and fine, but like, it just keeps going back and forth to be like, do you care about America? Like, oh, I remember part of it. Oh, dang it, I closed it. Part of what cracked me up, there was two things that cracked me up about that. The first thing is they're like, oh, he doesn't even say in America, so this is just more H1 bullshit. The other thing that cracked me up is that he doesn't say where you have to live. So is he going to be paying everybody to move, or are these going to be online jobs or remote work jobs? Because he pushed so hard to get everybody back in the office, and he doesn't say, show us your code and you have to be in Texas, or show us your code and you have to be an American citizen. This stuff, like, again, as an IT guy and someone who would really like America to be first, he doesn't say Americans, he doesn't say where you have to live. Like, I think I may have been critical of him in the past for not doing these call outs. Now I'm starting to see why it's problematic to at least not have some kind of like terms. Like, he doesn't even follow the post up with anything. And I think, like, did he already forget? Or is he already just on to the next thing? I don't know. But there's kind of a part two. There's a part two to all this, right? Which is, you try to make everybody come back to the office. Do people code? Do people code and collaborate better in the office? You know, when everyone's doing their agile, team stand up, scrum, do all the coders code better in the office? You want the best coders on the planet. How are you going to retain the best coders on the planet if they can already code somewhere else from home 100% of the time? How are you going to retain people? How are you going to have a collaborative environment for them? All their brains work different. The environment that's going to be special to them, that works best for their brain because they're creator brains, are you going to let them all monkey around with their cubes? Like, are they all going to be able to get window seats? Of course not. Some of them want hard walls. Like, what's retention look like? Just show us your code. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a recruitment scam. Just like that whole you're going to work 80 hours for free thing sounded like a recruitment scam. This sounds like a recruitment scam. Show us your code. You can have Chat GPT shit you code out now. How would they even weed through this? Like, are you going to have to come down to Austin and prove your code like you're working for Google or Microsoft? How are you going to do that if you're not even a legal citizen of the US? What if you're a really good coder from North Korea? I would just like some kind of like explanation that this all just isn't a big joke. Because look, I want Twitter to be the everything app. I do. I'm an author. I would love Twitter to have an open source Kindle alternative where the books are tracked on the blockchain forever, and if you get a book and you want the book, and you have the book forever, nobody can take it away from you. And if you want to sell it to somebody else, then you get some and I get some. And if they sell it to someone else, then they get some and I get some. And then if you want to loan it to someone, they can take it back on, I've wanted to build that for years and years and years, and I can't find anybody who's ever come all the way through on it. They always get about halfway there and stop for some reason. Is Elon actually going to, like, tie crypto in the blockchain into Twitter? Like, I would like to see a vision, like, for this. I would like for him to exude even basic levels of competency. And, be able to stay on, like, one track for, like, 5 seconds. Like, I get it. He's super passionate, and that's cool. And he says all the right things usually. But then sometimes he doesn't say the right things. And I'm not looking for reasons to, like, disagree with him. I saw someone's YouTube, and it was the same thing with Vivek. He was like, you don't agree with somebody on, like, 99% and then throw them out because of the 1%. The problem is, well, Vivek's a clown. The problem with Elon Musk is that I think he has the passion and I think he has the drive. But I don't know if it's because he doesn't surround himself with somebody that can be like, hey, this is like a business post. Let's maybe, what's the word? Let's finesse this a little bit. Let's, add another, sentence or two after this, just show us your code, to be like, just show us your code, but only if you're in Austin. Show us your code only if you live in the US, or only if you're here legally and not on an expired work visa. Or these are going to be high-paying American jobs. He doesn't even say like what the compensation package is going to be or why it would even be worth your time. And the problem is, I'll go back to what I was alluding to a little bit earlier. As a software engineer or a business analyst, you get so used to people telling you to do work for a job app and then getting ghosted to the point to where you're like, are they just literally stealing my work? Why would I do this work and not get paid? Or if they hire me, they're still not going to compensate me. And then they want you to do all these other packages when you're onboarded and still not, compensate you for any of this onboarding that you're doing. It's just, it's missing stuff. And the thing is, like, as someone who has been in the IT industry since high school, going to school for over half of the day, all through high school in IT programs, you start to just see when things aren't right. Now, I think this is going to be okay. The problem is that, like, it seems to take like really weird paths for him to like end up where he needs to be. Instead of just be like, oh, I need to make a fucking job posting and I just got roasted over the H-1B thing. Like, maybe I should clarify that this is for Americans. Anyway, and so I think if you're wondering how all this ties together, I'll explain it. Basically, he's not saying that you need to be from America. He's not saying that you need to be near his building. He's not saying if you're going to be able to work remote. The point of it is like, if you're a hardcore software engineer and then you don't care about, if you're self-taught or school-taught. The problem, here's why that is so fucking stupid. His whole point of the H-1B thing 25 days ago was that the US is stupid and uneducated and retarded and has shitty culture. And so we're losing the war with STEM and FANG. So I thought we were all too stupid to work for Twitter and that you needed H-1Bs. But they all go through the diploma mills or just lie out their ass to get their work visa shit too. Like, it's very well documented. And he was H-1Bing all the way from entry level all the way up through engineers. It's all public knowledge. It's all publicly documented. And then it's a lottery system too, so I don't even know how you know if you're getting the best people possible. So is this just his way of getting around the H-1B lottery system, or just circumventing H-1Bs altogether? Just hiring whoever he wants on the planet? But then they would be working remote. It doesn't make sense. And that's the problem. When I see something that doesn't make sense, I start applying that to the other stuff they're saying. And I think he's the primary driver between trying to force everybody back to the office on the federal level. Here's the thing. And I'm going to say this again and again and again. They're freezing hiring. So part of the executive order is that they froze hiring. So what I'm guessing is going to happen, because they've been hiring full remote for 5 years. It's all public info. Watch the job boards. Anyone in IT watches all the job boards. So go look at the job boards. I should see if they've all disappeared. I don't know if it works that fast, but I think I said that last time too. Like, they haven't disappeared yet. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. There's still 228 federal remote job postings right now. Now you could say, I guess it's because, today's MLK Day, so maybe the federales aren't working, but I will see. Well, if anyone gives a shit about this, we'll do a follow-up in a couple days, and I'll see if they actually wiped out the remote job postings, but my suspicion, as I said a few weeks ago, is they're not actually going to wipe out these remote jobs at all. And I will tell you why. I promise this is all coming together. I guess, here I was saying that Musk takes a long time to get shit together, and so do I. Whatever. This is how our brains work, I guess. So that's why I can't be too hard on him. You can't entice, period, high-performing IT professionals, period, by forcing them back into the office. They are working at the top of their game. If you want them, you have to meet them where they are. I am by no means saying that I am some massively top performer, but I am very good at what I do. And I can do like 99% of it at home. I've always been able to. Forcing me back into the office just makes me sicker than a dog. From a whole litany of problems. Not most withstanding, I hate being around idiots and surrounded by idiots that harass me all day. When I was done with high school and college, I wanted to move past that. And so do a lot of other people. People who are coders, people who are analysts, people who are creators, people who are thinkers. Most of them, if they work collaboratively, they work in a very, very, very tight-knit group of people that they very intimately trust. They do not work with anybody outside that group. So they don't go into the office where there's a bunch of douchebags. So how is the federal government going to recruit high-level IT people? And then to bring this all around again, Elon, who works for Doge, which is a different relabeled federal department, he is going to be effectively working for the government. He's going to have to hire, it's the, hold on, we got it right here. The United States Digital Service. The United States Digital Service is hereby publicly renamed as the United States Doge Service. So that's how they get around not making a new Doge department. They just renamed the Digital Service Department, which, if I understand right, they're the people in charge of upgrading IT equipment, which the problem, one of many problems with the federal government, is updating their IT takes forever. There was this one report or something I saw. I used to watch those congressional hearing things where, by the time they got it updated, the computers were already out of date. And it's a big problem because they have different, they got to be more secure and yada, yada, yada. They got to work with special stuff. Actually, one of the biggest things is they've got to take out all of the now they have to take out all the invasive AI shit. You don't want all that invasive AI shit in all of your government servers. Haven't you watched Terminator? So, or the Sarah Connor Chronicles, or any of those, the older Terminator movies. Like, you don't want AI, so it's all got to get stripped out. They have to go through extra security checks and stuff, for the Microsoft patches. Like, how many of you have had a Microsoft patch crash your server? You wouldn't want that happening to the government, would you? That wouldn't be very efficient, would it? So, how are you going to hire the best and brightest for this Doge thing if you're going to make them all go to the office somewhere? And by the way, where the fuck are they supposed to go to the office to? Where's the Doge office at? So this whole return to in-person work, work in person at their respective duty station. Well, where is the Doge duty station? Where is the digital service duty station? Like, give me a break. So you've got all that shit. I don't know how they're gonna recruit people unless there's already people in DC. Or are you gonna move everybody to DC for an 18-month thing? But there's a hiring freeze, so you have to unhiring freeze everybody that you want to hire onto the Doge. And then, oh, by the way, all those other departments just lost their best and brightest, so they're all fucked. They're going to be swimming in morons. They're not going to be able to hire anybody. Like this is disgusting. And everybody who thinks it's just fucking hilarious to go, haha, government, fire people, haha, government people, stupid government people not do anything, zug, haha. It's not fucking funny. It's not cute. It's not clever. People saying, oh, government doesn't do anything. Well, this is all government shit. You guys just basically hired another person to run the government for 4 years. So you think firing everybody is hilarious? Like, is this all just some big joke? Like, who's gonna figure out who's actually working and who's not working? And then you go, well, because you're gonna force them all back to the office. And then you'll know who's working and who's not working. But again, I'll tell you, as I've told you 1,000 times, way back when I had to go to the office ages ago, I walked managers around and I was telling them, I'm like, your employees are not working right now. They're fucking off. They're all socializing. Okay? They're not on a fucking break because they're all at their damn desks and they're at their desks all day because nobody got any breaks unless you went down to the cafeteria. And it's just like, they're not working right now. So you have to just be okay with their metrics. And that place also ran really tight metrics. So they always knew who their top performers were and everything. And that's the thing. That's why they were okay with it. For the most part. Is because as long as everybody was performing at a relatively high level, it didn't really matter. As long as people weren't too disruptive. So, how is Doge supposed to do that? How are you going to suddenly implement all these performance-based metrics? Where are they even supposed to get those from? You're going to force everybody back to the office, then you're going to like performance metric everybody? That's just hiring more and more people, wasting more people's time, and you're just involving metric shit tons of people that don't know what's going on and they don't know anything, they don't know anybody. You can look at spending, you can look at waste, fraud, and abuse. But when this comes down to the brass tacks, trying to fearmonger everybody into quitting because you're scaring the shit out of them about making them go back to the office, and so, haha, I hope they quit. I hope they quit. Do you hate the government? Do you hate everybody that much? Or do you hate Chase enough, or do you hate Amazon enough? All these places. Do you hate them so much that you don't have like an ounce of empathy towards all the little like worker bees? Like the people actually working? Like, are you so out of the loop that you don't understand like the raging like management bloat in corporate culture just in general? It's like the people that just go to the post office and shit on the clerk. That's just a normal person. You're just being a piece of shit to a normal fucking person. And it's the same thing with the DMV. Yeah, they're slow and some of them yada yada yada, but like, you're just going and shitting on another human being. Those people didn't do anything to you. You know? Like, and I've said this before, like, I screwed up on my taxes one year. And back when I was trying to run a business, because I wanted to do the right thing, and I totally screwed up on my taxes, and I wrote them a little letter, and they wrote me back, and they're like, don't even worry about it. They're like, we'll update all your records, you know? Otherwise I would have had to owe them a ton of money on basically a bunch of money that didn't exist because I screwed up. Yes, taxation is theft. Yes, there should be a flat tax or no tax. My point is that they're human beings. It's the same thing with the unemployment office. Like, I don't like how unemployment is ran either. And I got audited 3 times in a row the last time I was unemployed, and it felt very abusive and weaponized for some reason, although I don't know why. I don't know why it happened. It was weird. And I had to physically go there to a different state back then. It was a mess. I had to go to a different state 3 months in a row because that's where the unemployment happened. That's how the law worked or something. I don't know. And I had to go down there and I had to re-explain everything every time. And yeah, does it take 2.5 hours to get on unemployment, on a phone call, like all that? Like, yeah, it's a giant pain. But at the end of the day, you're just being a fucking piece of shit to a normal person. Yeah, they might be slow or they might be a fuddy-duddy and bumbling around but like, it's not funny and it's not cute. Like, just most of those people joined federal service because they wanted to help people. Most of them are like true believers. Like the people that you're pissed off about, the people that don't do anything, ATF, the people who have these massive predatory regulations, and there's a regulatory freeze that's pending review. That's the thing, like, there's so many better ways of dealing with this than forcing everybody back to the office, terrifying the shit out of them, and hoping that they'll quit because you just think it's funny. It's disgusting. Like, are there predatory 3-letter agencies that have caused people nothing but grief? Of course there are. Everybody knows that. But you're blaming, by and large, the worker bees for something that the regulatory body is doing, right? Which is what? Which is who? They're that bloat, those regulatory, manager type handful of people that like to just screw with everything. But here's what I'm trying to tell you. Doge is not going to fix that. Doge is not going to root those people out. Okay? The only way you can get rid of those people, the same thing on the private side, same thing with the public side. You have to figure out who their whole inner circle is, and you have to terminate their entire inner circle. And if there's some people that are floating around on the ancillary that can be readjusted and refocused, then you go for it. And you know what? I think, at least at a really high macro level, I think that they want to do that, which is why Orange Man is reappointing everybody. But all of the middle management below the people he is appointing is still there. So if they all just go, no, I'm not going to step down, then until he passes another law, which he didn't, I think it must have to go through Congress or something. He still can't really fire people. Like, here's what I'm trying to tell you. The problem is still there. He hasn't fixed it, and he's probably going to try to fix it, and that's fine. I get that. The problem is forcing everybody back to the office is like a terror tactic. That's all it is. And you know why? Because the cities suck, and the cities are dog shit. And if your whole point is to drain the swamp, you want to drain the DC swamp, you're not going to drain the DC swamp by forcing everybody to come back. Or you're going to force a couple people to quit. The DC swamp is still going to be there. They're all still going to be there. You force them to quit, and I can't remember which one this was in. It might have been in the hiring freeze one. They want to run the departments leaner. They want to run them with less people. And they all these, oh, that's right. I wanted to get to the other tweet. This whole illusion that your best and brightest are going to come back to work. I kept seeing people say that. The best and brightest are going to come back to the office. The best and brightest, no, they're fucking not. Your best and brightest are not going to come back to the office. Your social butterflies are going to come back to the office, and your best and brightest are going to find other jobs. And if there are any agencies that you like, those agencies are going to really be struggling. And if you want all of this to just completely crash, then that's what you're going to get. And if you're like good and you're clapping like a harbor seal, the problem is if you just want this whole thing to crash and burn, then just come out and say that you want the whole thing to crash and burn. This isn't an effective or even an ethical way of doing that. This is a shitty way of terrorizing a bunch of people that have already been fucking terrorized for a really long time. The left tried to force everybody back to the office too. Orange Man walked right into this. This is the worst thing that he could have done, is try to force everybody back. He is doing what the left refused to do, even though they really, really wanted to. The state level, the municipal level has been trying to force everybody back for a long time, and they haven't been able to. And I don't think that this is going to force everybody back either. and this is going to get to my final point, you can't force everybody back to a duty station that doesn't fucking exist. And this return to in-person work is barely a paragraph, and it's contingent on forcing people back to their respective duty stations. For 5 years, they have been hiring people fully remote with no duty station. There is no duty station for them to return to. And people are like, ha ha ha, good, ha ha ha, just fire them then. That's fucking terrorism. That is no better than everyone saying, ha ha, just fire people for not taking the vaccine. You had a choice. You had a choice. Oh, what the fuck are people supposed to do? Go uproot everything and go to an office in DC? That doesn't make any... DC is a shithole. Why would you... If you're admitting that these people are the best and brightest, and you're saying, well, if they're the best and brightest, they'll come back to the office, which is completely the opposite of how the best and brightest work, by the way. You're forcing them back to a shithole. Why? So they can get fucking murdered? So horrible things can happen to their wives and daughters, and so they can have their fucking cars stolen at gunpoint? DC is the place where, like, Secret Service and FBI and shit are getting carjacked. And this kind of is a part of my final point, which is this is all the same strategy that New York is doing with their subway system. They want to fix their subway system by forcing everybody back into using the subways through those stupid congestion pricing. It's, you don't fix the fucking bloodbaths on the subways by forcing everybody back into the subways. You're not going to fix the cities by forcing everybody back into the cities. Amazon, Chase, the 3-letter agencies, and all the other ones. I can't even keep track of them all anymore. Like, everyone's like, the Rona's over. It's time for everybody to come back. This was never about the Rona. People were teleworking and were remote working from home before the Rona. I have been on and off working from home since 2006. However many fucking years that's been. And even before that, when I was a server admin, my bosses were able to run the servers from home. I only needed to be there to help print things. So this is pure, just uneducated, just bullshit is what it is. And this Twitter by I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna see who this is on this Twitter post. I'm curious. Okay, this is the director for the movie coming out called the War on Children, where I guess they look like some kind of interviews or something, some kind of documentary. I agree that children need to be protected. That's a tantamount goal above all else. So I'm not disagreeing, with him, as a director of the movie, that he's passionate about. What I call the issue is when he says federal workers must return to full-time in-person work immediately. Expect many to quit. And he doesn't say if he's pro or against, but it's overwhelmingly been negative ever since Orange Man won. to force everybody back and haha, troll, troll, troll. They're all going to quit. Good for them. Fuck them all, blah, blah, blah. But as every other time, and I don't know if that's his stance, he stated it very matter-of-factly. I too expect many to quit. The problem is that there's a hiring freeze. The problem is what happens if some managers do quit? I can't remember if, no, not that one. The hiring freeze. I have to reread through this and say, can they actually bump people up? It doesn't apply for the military or Social Security, Medicare, veterans, the VA or the OPM. In fact, it sounds like the Office of Personnel Management's coming out ahead on this, which I guess kind of makes sense. I kind of get an idea of what they're trying to do. They're trying to boost budget management and they're trying to boost the OPM. It's kind of funny though. Oh, anyway, you can read it for yourself. It's on whitehouse.gov. It says the memorandum does not prohibit making reallocations to meet highest priority needs, maintain essential services, and protect national security, blah, 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 blah. And I guess, as far as I could tell, I've read and reread this several times. It's like, what happens if you do have some managers that quit? How do you appoint new managers? Now, this is only supposed to go for, I'm sure it's only going to go for 90 days. I think this has happened before. But I don't even know how in 90 days you can really sort out some kind of plan. It says, the Doge shall submit a plan to reduce the size of the federal government's workforce through efficiency improvements and attrition. Key point there being attrition, aka they're just going to terrorize everybody into quitting. Whether they lose good people or bad people, I guess. That's not the right way to lose people. The right way would be as if they pass the law saying that they can actually fire people again and do a top-down review of who all of the shitbirds are. This is just going to come off as a heavy-handed terror tactic, and pragmatically it doesn't actually serve the purpose I think that anybody wants, unless you want it all to collapse because you just think that's hilarious, or that you think it needs to happen. But as with all cancers, the problem is going to way outlast the solution. So it doesn't say anything in here about how you're supposed to backfill anybody if your department is just supposed to collapse. Like, what if your department just collapses? It's just weird. It's weird, and I don't know. If they're going to dissolve agencies, they just need to do it. Why not just dissolve the agencies you want to dissolve? They want to get rid of the Department of Education? You want to get rid of the IRS? You want to get rid of, not the Department of Transportation. I always screw this up. The EPA. You want to get rid of the EPA? Like, make the argument for it and do it. But you're just asking everybody who's left to work with even less people. Like, the people that can leave will leave, and it is almost assuredly going to be the highest performers that don't want to put up with this shit. You're going to end up with people who can't leave or won't. And what does that get you besides the fact that you just think it's funny? Like, you're not gonna be building a new government out of this. Like, this isn't how to do it. They need to figure out how the hell they're gonna find a bunch of $200 million buildings that are way outside of DC and decentralize the whole thing. But there's nothing in here about that. And I know, it's coming. I just think I know why they want to do the hiring freeze, partially because of the budget, and they got to figure the budget thing out. I totally get that. I do. And there was some other ones in here about budget, because we're just massively like overspending. What is it? 35? We have 35 trillion now, or something like that. And I feel like in here somewhere has to do with pulling back out of the wars, maybe. Oh yeah, but the funniest thing of all, the icing on the cake, is that one of these executive orders is called Reforming the Federal Hiring Process and Restoring Merit to Government Service. And it says, blah, 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 blah. American citizens deserve an excellent and efficient federal workforce that attracts the highest caliber of civil servants committed to achieving the freedom, prosperity, and democratic rule that our Constitution promotes. But the current federal hiring practices are broken, insular, and outdated. They no longer focus on merit, practical skill, and the dedication to our Constitution. And a lot of that is DEI stuff. Totally get that. I see what they're trying to do here, and it fits into a lot of their stuff that they're trying to do. The problem is, you are not going to be getting the best and brightest if everyone has to come in the office. A. B. If you're forcing everybody back to DC, the best and brightest aren't in DC, and they haven't been for a long time. Everyone that could get out of DC has a long, long time ago. That is a petri dish of all of the people that you don't want. DC is not some big IT hub. They're bureaucrats. It's like every capital city. It's where all the bureaucrats and the lawyers swim around. Like a big gross petri dish. Like this doesn't work. It doesn't achieve anything that it sets out to achieve. Except for terrorizing the living shit out of people who have reformed their life around being able to raise, maybe homeschool their family, live in a safe place that's not a fucking city cesspool. This is going to get people in a lot of danger. It's going to clog the roads to hell. There isn't going to be any parking. These people aren't going to have any money to shop around anyway. And, he's going to fix the money stuff. That's going to take forever. Like, all the money shit, the economy is going to take him like 18 months to fix, just like it did last time. I get the hiring freeze, but forcing everybody back is just a terror tactic and a troll tactic. Elon Musk doesn't go to the office. He's sure as fuck not going to be going to the office after this. That's stupid to think about. The dude's got like what, 4 jobs? He's not going to be coming in the office. His staff aren't going to be coming in the office. Like, gutting Twitter, gutting a social media network works if all they did was just sit there and plot and plan of how to screw things up. But that's not how the 3-letter agencies, most of them, work. There's a couple people up at the top that don't know what they're doing, that figure out these, what are they? They're little diddly doos that they want to do. Regulatory stuff. There's these regulatory bodies, right? And then you got everybody else that's just either they're trying to support the public somehow because that's what they believe in, or maybe their family's always done it, or they just, maybe they're just flying under the radar. Of course, there's people that are just flying under the radar, and there's work theatrics. Those people, the people with the work theatrics, they have no problem going back to the office because they were fucking off before they had to stay home. There is just, and I'll finish with this. There's this idiotic mindset that people are at home fucking off. Those same people were at work fucking off. And all of the micromanagement in the world didn't matter when it's all their bosses were fucking off too. These people have been career fuck-offs forever. Okay? There is nothing in the corpo world short of having true merit-based, metrics-based, performance-based, a program, and then actually being able to fire them. But this doesn't do either one of those things. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And what would you do with those people? They're all going to be homeless, unemployed, loser street urchins. So, like, you're going to put them to work in the fields? Which is fine. I would be okay with that because at least they wouldn't be harassing me all day with their bullshit and trying to get people in trouble and trying to narc on everybody and fucking with everybody at work. Like, go put them in a field where they can't bug anybody. And then they have to pick berries every day. You can't even do that, though, because, like, it's going to be robots picking berries, and you can't put them in charge of the help desk because it's going to be AI agents. Like, I just don't think it's funny terrorizing a shit ton of people because I don't even know why, because you think they don't work. I got bad news for you. Like, that is the whole corporate environment. That is everywhere. Just deciding that you hate a certain group. You got to realize, like, this return to office thing is public and private, and it is the same fucking people running both. This corptocracy that I have been talking about for years and years and years, that has been in my books for years and years and years, are all being ran by the same people. The government and the corporations are the same people. They're ran by the same people. The lobbyists pay the government, and the government gives the lobbyists the special fucking contracts, and they say, we're doing a vaccine thing, and they go, okay, we'll do whatever you want. We'll pass all your government vaccine mandates down through the fucking corporate sector and the public sector, and they are all the same fucking thing. It is not cute to just fucking terrorize people who finally get to work from home, maybe raise a kid. They don't have to be in the fucking shitty ass cities anymore. They get to live where they want. They get to live where they feel safe. They maybe get to pay less taxes. Maybe they live next to the ocean because they like the ocean, or maybe they get to live next to the forest because they like the forest. Like, let the cities fail. Let the cities fall. In the immortal words of a person that loved to blame the banks for everything, let the cities, let the banks fall. Let the banks collapse. There'll still be jobs for all the little teller people for a little while before they'll get replaced by AI as well. In fact, I saw a picture of even the storage units. Storage units used to be ran by people. Storage units are ran by little kiosks now. Like, you think the banks are going to be around much longer? It's going to be a couple of like corpo bankers at the top just sitting there like milking commercial real estate forever. Like, let the banks, let the cities fall. The people that want to stay there will stay there. The jobs where it still makes sense for them to be there will be there. Like banks, insurance, that's all like a relatively new idea. We don't need it. Like, not in the massively bloated capacity that we do. And you could say the same thing for the 3 letters. And I get it, but here's the thing, like, this doesn't achieve that. Trolling people that they have to go back to a fucking war zone to show up in a fucking Q prison for their daily wage slavery. Why? So they can collaborate? No, so they can sit in more fucking meetings and go brain dead when they could be, saving hours and hours of commute and hours of fuel and hours of destroying their vehicle and stuck in traffic and like go to the fucking war zone. Fuck, it's so frustrating. I wish everybody would just see this for what it is and stop trying to force everybody back to the office. We should have always been able to work from home. Again, I'll tell you this. I've told you this before. My stepmom in the early 90s worked from home sometimes. She was allowed hybrid work. And you know where that was in? That was in Seattle. She was allowed to work from home sometimes. Early 90s. This is fucking retarded. Everybody needs to get over this shit. It's not funny making people go back to the office. The office fucking sucks. Okay? The culture's gone. Culture's dead. It's all fake. I don't need a fucking stapler with the corpo branding on it or whatever. Like, most of the people that I see on Twitter saying this shit don't report back to an office either. Oh, well, we pay for the government. They should go in the office so we know they're working. Nobody in the office is doing the fucking things that you want, and you're not in the office doing the things that you should be doing either. A lot of these people are just like Twitter shit posters. It's so fucking annoying. Just let it go. Everyone needs to just stay in their lane and try to figure out what you really want. Try to figure out what you really want, and then see if this gets you there. And if you want if you want the cities to burn down, this doesn't get you there. And if you want the government to go to forever sleep, this doesn't get you there. This is stupid. And if you want the cities to come back, this doesn't get you there either. Oh man. Come back to the city. Come back to the city sometime. And then and then tell everybody else to come back. I'll end with this, I promise. In the time that we kind of teeny tiny a bit had to go back to the office where I'm at, every single one of my coworkers has had a vehicle totaled. I am the only one that hasn't, and I missed my car being totaled by a hair. And they didn't even slow down, and they didn't even hit their brakes. They didn't even try to slow down, and they weren't even looking. They were tunnel vision ahead, and they didn't even look, because I could see their faces because they were an inch off my car. Go look at the wrecks. They've gone up. Go look at the shootings. They'll say they haven't gone up, but it could be because the stabbings have gone up. And go look at the fentanyl overdoses, and go look at pedestrians that get hit by cars. The cities are a fucking death trap. Every single one of my coworkers has had a car totaled since they started trying to force everybody back in the office a while ago. Do you think that's funny too? Do you think it's funny if I get fucking killed because the cities are a damn traffic war zone too? Like, I guess you think that's funny too. And are there silver linings to this? Sure, like getting everybody out of the country that's not supposed to be here is great. I was talking to somebody and they said, this is probably going to drive vehicle insurance down. And I agreed with them, because you're not going to have, so many damn uninsured motorists. And it reminded me that my brother also had a vehicle totaled from an uninsured motorist that was here on an expired visa. So are you ready to sentence everybody to death to return to the office because you think it's fucking funny and because you think they don't work? You're just terrifying them all into quitting. And what the fuck are they supposed to do if they can't retire? Go get a job at the fucking local mill? Like, those jobs aren't gonna exist until probably like 18 more months. I think that I've said this before, like, that possibility exists, but only if the timing is right. If you want to switch everybody back from public to private, you can do it. And they would probably make a lot more money, and some of them would be happier and some of them wouldn't. As long as they could still work from home, because who knows where the jobs are actually going to physically be at. But like, the timing has to be perfect. Right? And I was just telling someone this a couple days ago. It typically takes Trump somewhere between 9 to 18 months to really turn things around again. You can't just like fucking upheaval millions of people's lives when like the structure's not in place. The job market right now is not that good. there's still a lot of like AI problems and fake jobs. Probably like a quarter of the jobs are fake, and then another half of the jobs are H-1Bs. Like, interest rates are still completely fucked. And if you're not getting rich off one of these shit coins, then like, I guess I should have just invested every single penny in like a shit coin and like hope I lucked out or something. I don't know. What I'm saying here, look at what your real goal is. And look at what everybody's saying and see that this shit doesn't line up. And there has to be very, very, even if you wanted to force everybody back in the cities, there is a bunch of things that have to be done that weren't done. The cities aren't safe. The cities aren't secure. They're not cleaned up with illegals, and I know they will be soon, but they're not cleaned up from the homeless. There's still tent cities everywhere. There's still meth heads and fent heads and gangs everywhere. You still have two major cartels operating. I know they're going to fix that, but it's going to take a while. And that's what I'm saying. You want to force everybody back to the office? Fix everything first. Sending everybody back doesn't fix everything. Not when there's fucking cartels operating in the cities and gangs. And the drugs flooding over our border. I know it's going to get fixed, but it takes time. Just, I don't know. I'd figure everyone would want to breathe. Here's the thing, though, and I want to be clear. I think Cackles McGee would have done the same thing. I think she would have forced everybody back too. But I think the hiring freeze makes sense, even though it's going to be painful. But forcing everybody back and doing the hiring freeze at the same time is just that doesn't do anything except fuck with people. I think there would have been way more goodwill to Orange Man coming back if he hadn't tried to force everybody back to the office. I think that is going to hurt the healing process, and a few people who don't have to go. I think a lot of the people that are saying this stuff, they're like influencers on Twitter. They're people who don't have to go to an office. They're people that are fine. I don't think they really speak for that many people. This haha, they have to go back to the office, or haha, they're going to quit. I don't think they speak for a lot of people. I think they're just, they don't have to go to an office. They're either already rich, or they're influencers, or they're retired, or they know their remote job is fine. And I don't think they really speak for that many people, but those are the comments on here that seem to get highlighted. Then the people that respond are just fucking stupid. This person says, before you get too excited, realize these people get 2x the market rate compensation. That is blatantly false. You can go look up those numbers yourself. This person says, don't forget there's many federal workers, and I know a lot, are very patriotic and support Trump. That's what that person said. That has 271 likes. I mean, the people in this thread that are saying supportive stuff, like, okay, here's one. We need a law that only Americans can work for the federal government. Doge would love to replace Americans with Indians. See, this is another person that's, and this person says that's what this is all about. High-skilled government workers are already paid less than the private counterparts. IT and cyber, more than anything, Doge is pushing this to replace them with Indians who will work for peanuts. And most H-1Bs work for multi-billion-dollar Indian corporations like Cognizant that spend millions on lobbying. You gotta this whole thread is great. all these people, that's even better. It saves Elon the trouble of firing them. Elon can't fire them. Like, it doesn't. And yeah, that's even better. Saves Elon the trouble of firing. That has 90 likes. It doesn't save Elon the trouble of firing him. That's not how it works. They have, just like that happened. Then they tried to do that on the state level too. They tried to force all the state people back to the office, and tons of unions all said, "No, you can't do that." But then they're like, "Well, Trump is anti-union." Well, like all these pro-union people, you want people to go back to the office, and they're like, "Oh, the Teamsters, this and that." And it's like, you can't just force everybody back to the office. Executive orders don't work that way. There's still the legal process, and Elon can't fire them, and Elon's not going to be their boss. I guess I want to say regarding that, a lot of this is really like empty support from like bots or just Elon bot chuckleheads, because he's been getting ratioed a lot lately. Oh yeah, here, I like what this person says. Well, all those Veterans Affairs workers have been working from home since 2020. You'd think more claims would have been done. The funny thing is the VA, I think, doesn't have to go back. The VA has set 2 all-time records regarding the amount of claims. Yeah, I think if I remember right from one of those presidential actions, the VA doesn't have to go back because they require the designated essential. Or was that for the hiring freeze? I think it was for the hiring freeze. The VA can still, yeah, I don't know. The VA can still hire. So I might be wrong. People said good riddance. Like, that's disgusting. Like, expect many more to be terminated. That is what this person says. No, they won't be terminated because you can't. Not unless Congress is going to pass something saying you can actually fire people. And if they did pass something saying they could actually fire people, it would make more sense to go after the middle management bloat, not the worker bees. Forced attrition is much easier than layoffs and severances. That's true. And I think they want to lose people through attrition. I just don't think they're going to be losing the people that they want to. I think they're going to be losing the people that they don't want. And that's my point. They're not going to be losing the people that they want to lose. They're losing the people they need to keep. And this person says, going to be a rude awakening for them when they go into the private sector and are expected to actually produce, rolling on the floor laughing. No. Private sector are exactly the same way. The ones that don't show up on time in the morning must have their employment terminated immediately. Oh, really? How are you going to do that? This person says, and not one will be missed. What's that even mean? They won't be missed? Oh, because you won't notice a difference. Here's what'll happen. Everybody else is just going to work harder and get burnt out, and people are going to be sick. And you're just going to have giant compounding problems. Like, the people that, it's like cancer, man. Like, the cancer is going to be there, and everything else is just going to be toast. Oh, this person says, loss of productivity is another way inflation increases. Yeah. Like, and that's the thing. Like, how do I say this? When I said like Musk has gotten like ratioed a lot more lately, a lot of people are waking up to their bullshit, and especially on Twitter, and that's because there are so many tech people on Twitter. The people that are fucking morons stick out like a sore thumb, and they get called out. This person says many federal buildings do not have the office space in order for everyone to return, so in theory this might be a nice idea, but in reality it's not happening. Not to mention how expensive it is on the private and public side to shift cue balls around. That other person talked about the way inflation increases. Like, you force everybody back in the office, then you gotta fuck with everybody's cubes. That shit costs a fortune, and it takes years to like reconfigure office buildings. It's so fucking expensive. But it doesn't cost anything to keep everyone at home. I've been, like I said, like this person, don't forget there's many federal workers out there, and I know a lot are very patriotic and support Trump. There is a lot of people here that are calling out the bullshit. And there's a lot of people waking up, and I hope you all see this as like an educational opportunity to realize when people say bullshit like this, then they should be more than happy to return to the office. Although I know how hard it is to go back to the office when you've been working in pajamas for 4 years, but it had to have happened at some point. That's such fucking derogatory bullshit. And it's ironic they say, I know how hard it is to go back to the office when you've been working in pajamas. Oh, you do know? Oh, is it because you're projecting? Because you were at home in your pajamas? And who cares if you're at home in your pajamas? Who cares what you're wearing? Why is this person so concerned? Why are they thinking about other people being in their pajamas? Is wearing pajamas like any fucking thing of how good your work is? And then they go, where were they working prior to COVID? Serious question. What are the good reasons? What are the good reasons why a majority of federal workers can't return to work? I'm not being unfair. I'm sure millions of people have the same question. It's unfair that no good reasons are being given. On the outside looking in, it appears more so like they hate Trump and don't want to work for his administration. That's false, because a lot of people were working from home back when he was president last time. This person, like, is fucking stupid. People were working from home during Obama. And people were working from home during Orange Man. And people were working from home during Sleepy Joe. So, what do they mean they don't want to work for Trump and don't want to work for his administration? Aside from a couple of appointees changing, the other 99.99999% is staying exactly the same. So, I'm not being unfair. I'm sure millions of people don't have the same question, because nobody even hearted your post. Even the very top one from Robbie Starbuck only has 23,000 likes. Millions of people don't want to know. Millions of people don't give a shit. They just want it all to function. That's the problem. They want the government to function and stay out of everybody's business. That's where most people want it to go. But I think working in pajamas is just another derogatory thing to say. This person says, Oh, yeah. Okay, here they go. Yeah, the truth is coming out. The company I worked for allowed us to work from home for a full year to avoid dealing with the constant testing and vaccines. They took a blind survey and found most of us would have quit instead of taking the COVID concoction, so they accommodated us. Good for you. So you got to work from home for a full year in your pajamas, and then you had to go back. Oh, I'm not talking about exceptional situations or about veterans who served our country. I'm quite sure there's federal people working from home who are more than capable of returning to the office. Uh, Probably like half the government are veterans. I don't. It could be more. Um, so if they're saying that veterans should be able to stay home, that is a lot. And it says, I'm quite sure there's federal people working from home who are more than capable of returning. Uh, Maybe the ones that stayed in DC, but that's it. All those numbers that Elon and Vivek threw out, those numbers were all fake, or at the very least, extremely misleading numbers. The turnover rate has been massive, as you can tell by the job postings. The obvious answer, if you really want to save money, just let the leased buildings go and start restructuring and do your new hiring at the new buildings in the new decentralized locations. Shit is not that difficult. All this terrorizing and trolling and saying they don't work. Yeah, okay, here we go. This person nails it. I worked in the federal space for years, and shitbag employees have no problem complying with stupid requirements to get an easy paycheck. This isn't going to have a very big effect at all. Bingo. That guy fucking gets it. These people they're grandfathered in to the city. They're they don't their houses are already paid off, or they don't have any interest, or they're whatever, like they just go the 5 blocks and go back to the office because they're all city dwellers. It's like a net zero. It doesn't have a substantial effect. Everybody that can get out, that could get out, did. Those are the people that don't want to go back. And it's the same thing with corporate and private. The same thing with Amazon. People that could get out of Seattle did. People that could get out of DC did. Even the companies themselves have tried to get out. Wells Fargo and I can't even think of them all now. The other, was it the Bank of America Tower? All the corporations tried to get out of the cities too. Everyone's trying to get out of the fucking cities that can. Everyone's hardcore that wants to stay there can stay. Like, nobody's telling them they have to leave. This person says the order has no teeth, easily lost in a court case because if they force remote folks to move, they have to pay the moving costs. And it'll need judicial support to succeed. And that's because they can't fire people. This person says I think they're talking about the unions. Will file this in DC and tie it up for years. This person says the best will leave. IT departments will suffer more than anything else. It will be used as an excuse by Elon to replace federal IT staff with H-1B Indians. So this is probably the third person now that said this. And this is exactly it. This is the whole fucking thing in a nutshell. They wanted everybody to work for free for 80 hours. Then they said, come back to the office or you're fired. And then they said, we want to bring in H-1Bs. Elon Musk wants to bring in H-1Bs, presumably for his own fucking project. And I'm sure that they would just be tickled pink to just completely replace the government with H-1Bs. Because they're cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. And you can force them back to the office, because if they don't, you just deport them. I just want y'all to see this for what it really is. Get past the troll, get past the joke, and realize forcing everybody back to the office is extremely dangerous for them and their families. If you don't have to live in the city, and if you don't watch the news, you don't know how bad it is. Hundreds and hundreds of people are dying in every city every year. Is fucking total lawlessness. So, my very last point, and then I swear I'm going to stop. They had a joint task force in Portland. Oh, there's the videos of it. They had a joint task force in Portland to try to handle the riots, which I don't think there were any. And people still managed to get out and destroy all the buildings for the Multnomah County Elections Office. They smashed out all the windows and spray painted it up, and they still managed to get away. And that's at 2 a.m. when nobody's even out. And they have the joint task force running. They have everyone running like 12-hour shifts. And somehow these people still got in and out just fine. So, if they can't protect a building at 2 a.m. when nobody's out, with the joint task force running, excuse me, what is this? Looks, I'm watching the video now. It's like four guys with hammers. They've got like plastic bags on their hammers. They fucking destroyed this building. Oh no, there's like 6, 7, 8 of them. There's a lot of them. No police. 0 cops. And this is during the task force. No fucking cops, okay? Like, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Do you think it's any safer during the day? Do you think it's like safer in numbers? No, these people don't care. And the gangs are even worse. Like, try to see the bigger picture here. And with that, this one's probably going to get a lot of negative backlash, but I'm just calling it as I see it. And this is what I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about staying home and not going to the cities. And if that should be everybody's top priority. My heart goes out to everyone in the public and private sector, both, that are getting screwed by people who have this false sense that butts in chairs somehow is gonna. Was it Nike? Nike was the other one. Nike's falling hard on their face, and the CEO effectively is like, it's you guys that won't come in the office. It's your fault for Nike doing shitty because you won't come back to the office. And if we just had collaboration again, Nike would be doing fine. Fully ignoring that they made several critical missteps in managing their company that is by no means any of the employees' fault. I just want everyone to be safe and away from the cities, and I want the government to be decentralized and safe and as minimal as possible to still effectively run, and everyone to have good mental health and not get burnt out. And I want everyone to be able to hire the best and brightest. And I want everyone to get paid a good amount. And I just want everything to be okay. And I just want everyone to leave everyone alone. And that goes both ways. And again, I want to be clear. I think Cackles would have done exactly the same thing. Because it's been Cackles and Joe Biden that have been running this country for a long time now. And I think DC and the cities have been pushing really hard because they want their tax money, and the banks want their commercial real estate. This has nothing to do with forcing people back to the office. This has everything to do with boosting commercial real estate and boosting the cities. And I do not care about the cities, and I do not care about commercial real estate. I just want to live in my happy home and help people and be left alone. And that's what all of you should want too, not trolling people. So that way everyone can take care of the ones they love and make sure your kids get to school, or if you're homeschooling your kids, and make sure your packages don't get stolen by porch pirates. And everyone can support their local community. Everyone can choose the community that is the best fit for them. And then, in a couple years after Orange Man's fixed everything, if he has, the jobs will organically come back to those places where people are building up those communities. This shit is not that hard to figure out. So, y'all take care. Just see this as a learning opportunity, to have some empathy and see where the real problems are. Because for years and years and years now, there have been so many people suffering. And you have to be able to heal as a community. And attacking and shitting on your highest performers, because that's what this is doing. This isn't, just like that person said. They said it perfectly. This isn't affecting all the fucking idiots, period. It's not. You think it is and you think it's funny, but it's not. This is affecting your top performers. This is affecting the people that care the most, that are the most passionate. And they are not loyal to going into an office. They're not loyal to wage slavery and indentured servitude. They just want to do the best job that they can. So try to think about that instead of just making jokes and shitting on people and joining all these fucking idiot clowns that just think this damn thing is so fucking funny. Because people have moved and they're going to be losing everything. And there's no city to move back to. This is the same thing I ran into fucking years ago. Like, when I lost my house, there was nowhere to move back to. Oh, you just want me to be homeless? There's not even anywhere to park an RV. And they don't pay you enough to move there. What are you supposed to do? Like, I want people that actually fucking think through this. Are you supposed to uproot your whole family and your kids and your life and move your house? For what? So you can fucking go in a cube prison I just want people to have some empathy. The office, the cities, you have no idea. You have no idea how bad it is. And if you can't see that and you think this is all a joke, then I don't know what to say. So if everyone thinks this is a joke, then this really is going to be my last podcast. So y'all take care.
I wanted to work for public service to try to make a difference. I moved out of the cities because it got too dangerous. I swore an oath to uphold and protect. Then I got told if I don't come back, it's my last check. We work from home just fine. Our farm is an office in the spruce and pines. Did y'all forget that it's conservatives living in rural areas? Did y'all forget it's mostly lefties living in the cities? How the hell do you expect to drain the swamp if you force everyone back? The idiots still live there while we all moved out, so we don't get attacked. Last I checked, you wanted people to work there that would fix things. The last time I checked, you wanted high performers. The cities are still full of the people who made them that way. Do you really think this gonna fix it like they say? Think about it. We work from home just fine. Our farm is an office in the spruce and pines. Did y'all forget that it's conservatives living in rural areas? Did y'all forget it's mostly lefties living in the cities? How the hell do you expect to drain the swamp if you force everyone back? The idiots still live there while we all moved out, so we don't get attacked. This race to the bottom, and you can't help but see, if you looked, that the cities are still circling the drain. The situation is cooked. The only way is to leave and leave the cities to their fate. But instead you want everyone back, blinded by hate. We work from home just fine. Our farm is an office in the spruce and pines. Did y'all forget that it's conservatives living in rural areas? Did y'all forget it's mostly lefties living in the cities? How the hell do you expect to drain the swamp if you force everyone back? The idiots still live there while we all moved out, so we don't get decentralized. Move offices to the rural areas. Make the rural areas vibrant with jobs again. Then you'll have the conservative servants that you want. You keep trying the same things and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity, and it's not going to work. Did y'all forget that it's conservatives living in the rural areas? Did y'all forget it's mostly lefties living in the cities? How the hell do you expect to drain the swamp if you force everyone back? The idiots still live there while we all moved out, so we don't get attacked. Just let us work from home. We're doing just